I want you to just picture this for a second. Go on, close your eyes. You're in Phuket.
Hmm.
And it's that perfect postcard image. You've got the white sand, that insane turquoise water, maybe a cold coconut in your hand. It is the absolute dream.
It's a very, very persuasive dream. It's hard to resist.
Exactly. And for a lot of people, that dream, it starts to evolve. It, stops being just a holiday fantasy and it turns into an actual plan. They think, I want to own a piece of this. I want a villa here.
And that's where things get complicated.
That's the pivot, because there's a massive difference between enjoying a holiday in paradise and, well, actually navigating the property market there.
Oh, a profound difference. I mean, it's a huge financial decision. And frankly, the rules of the game in the tropics are completely different from what you might be used to in, say, London or New York.
Right.
If you go in with just island vibes and no strategy, your bank account is really going to feel it.
And that is exactly why we're doing this deep dive. We are not just looking at pretty pictures of infinity pools today. We're looking at the calendar.
Yes. Because the core premise of the research we have is that in Phuket, when you buy is just as important, maybe even more important, than where you buy.
It's the variable almost everyone overlooks. They get obsessed with the location, beachfront versus hillside, but they completely ignore the timing. And that's where the money is lost or made.
So to guide us through this, we're looking at a really comprehensive guide from Ocean Worldwide. Now, I want to be clear up front. This isn't some travel blog written by a backpacker.
No, not at all.
Ocean Worldwide is a luxury real estate agency that has been based right there on the ground in Phuket since 2004.
And that 2004 date is so significant. In a developing market like Thailand, which can be, volatile and cyclical, you don't want advice from someone who just showed up last week.
You want the long view.
You want insights from people who have seen the boom and bust cycles, the political shifts, the tourism waves over 2 decades. Right, and specifically, we're pulling from the expertise of Sandra O'Neill, who's the director of the agency. The guide says she's helped thousands of families and investors navigate this.
So this is insider advice. People on the ground seeing this day in, day out.
Exactly. So our mission today is to take her experience and decode these seasons of the Phuket property market. We want to move beyond that emotion of, oh, I love this beach, and get into the real strategy of how do I save money and maximize my value?
Precisely. We're essentially talking about timing the market, but instead of watching stock tickers, we're watching the monsoon rains and the tourist arrivals.
Okay, so let's start with that core concept, the rhythm of the island. The source says the property market basically breathes in sync with tourism. How does that actually play out?
It all boils down to supply, demand, and seller psychology. You have to understand that on an island economy, everything is linked to those airport arrivals. So let's look at high season first. We're talking November through February.
The best time to be there. The weather's perfect, no rain, cool breezes. The island is just buzzing.
For a holidaymaker, absolutely, it's paradise. But if you're a buyer, this is what the guide actually calls the danger zone.
Danger zone? Why is it dangerous?
Well, think about the psychology of a seller during those months. Their property, it's likely rented out, probably for a premium. They're seeing super high occupancy rates.
Okay.
They look out the window, they see tourists spending money everywhere. They feel like their asset is a gold mine.
So they're feeling pretty confident, pretty rich.
Exactly. The rental yields are peaking. So if you walk in during January and try to negotiate a lower price, they have absolutely zero motivation to listen to you.
Why would they?
They're sitting on a performing asset. Plus, you're competing with every other tourist who just fell in love with the place and decided on an impulse, I'm going to buy a villa.
So it's an emotional peak. November to February, great for a tan, terrible for a bargain.
Generally speaking, yes. The
Yeah.
leverage is entirely with the seller.
So if we flip that, the green season,
Yeah.
which is a very nice marketing term for the rainy season, that must be the opportunity.
That's the whole theory. This is the low season, usually May through October. It rains more, it's humid, and the tourist numbers, they drop off a cliff.
And I'm guessing the seller's confidence drops right along with those tourist numbers.
It's more tangible than just confidence. It's about cash flow. A seller who was, really arrogant in December might be staring at a completely empty booking calendar in July. But the carrying costs, I'm talking pool maintenance, staff, aircon repairs, those don't stop just because the tourists stop coming.
So that burn rate starts to hurt them.
And that pain creates flexibility. They become motivated. Sandra O'Neill points out that for a savvy investor, this is the golden window. You're not competing with a dozen other buyers.
Right.
You can view properties without feeling rushed. And crucially, You can negotiate aggressively because you represent a solution to their vacancy problem.
And there's also a middle ground mention, the shoulder season.
Right? March and April, then September, October. This is the Goldilocks zone. You've got moderate tourist numbers, pretty decent weather. It's a safe middle ground where you can still negotiate, but the island doesn't feel completely dead.
Okay, so that's the macro view, high-low, shoulder. But what I found really interesting in the Ocean Worldwide Guide is that they identify these super specific, tight windows of opportunity.
Yeah, this is where that local expertise really shines. You can't just look at a calendar. You have to look at human behavior.
Okay, let's talk about the post-holiday dip. This is late January into February. Now, theoretically, that's still high season, so why is this a buying window?
It's the hangover effect.
Yeah.
Think about retail psychology. What happens every January?
Everyone is broke from buying Christmas presents.
Exactly. People overspent.
Yeah.
But look at it from the seller side, too. A lot of sellers list their properties in, say, October or November, hoping to catch a buyer during that Christmas rush.
Okay, that makes sense.
If they haven't sold by late January, reality starts to set in. They know the quiet season is coming in May. That anxiety starts to build.
They miss the peak, and they want to get a deal done before the slump.
You got it. It's like finding a bargain on the clearance rack after a big sale. You catch sellers in a moment where they just want to close the chapter and move on.
Okay, now here's one that really surprised me. The guide talks about timing your purchase around festivals. Things like Songkran in April or Loy Krathong in November. Why would a water fight festival help me buy a house?
It sounds totally counterintuitive, doesn't it? Usually you'd think festivals mean crowds and high prices.
Yeah.
But the logic here is about distraction. During Songkran, which is the Thai New Year, everyone is focused on celebrating. Families are gathering, people are traveling back to their hometowns.
So they're not thinking about real estate?
Not at all. Owners are distracted by celebrations or, frankly, their own personal finances during a holiday. They aren't actively marketing the property as hard. The source gives a great example. If you're looking for a boutique pool villa in Chungtole, which is a very desirable area, you might get a better result during a quiet local period like this than during the peak tourist times.
You catch the market when it's napping.
It's a stealth attack. While everyone else is splashing water, you're signing contracts.
I like that. And we shouldn't forget pre-construction or off-plan.
Right, buying before the bricks are even laid.
Is there a seasonal angle to that, or is that just a different strategy altogether?
It's less seasonal and more about the project's life cycle.
Yeah.
Developers often give out early bird discounts. They need that initial capital to get the project moving and, prove to the banks that there's actual interest. So if you can handle the risk of waiting, you can get a lower price.
Okay, let's pivot to what you're buying.
Yeah.
Because I imagine the strategy completely changes depending on if I'm after a massive beach villa versus like a little condo in the city.
Absolutely. The asset class dictates the strategy. Let's start with the big dream, the beachfront villa.
The premium asset.
This is the most expensive inventory on the island. And the prices here are at their absolute peak during Christmas and New Year, because that's when the luxury lifestyle is on a full display.
So following our rule, we should wait for the rain.
Yes, but for an added reason that I think is just brilliant. If you buy a beachfront villa in the slow season May to October, not only is the price likely lower, but you get to see how the property actually handles the weather.
Oh, you're stress testing the house.
Exactly. A sunny day hides a multitude of sins. A rainy day shows you the roof leaks, the drainage problems, the damp in the walls.
Wow.
If you're looking at a fixer-upper, buying in the rainy season gives you massive negotiating power. You can literally point to a puddle on the floor and say, I need a discount to fix that.
That's a serious pro tip. Don't just buy the dream, buy the reality of it. What about condos?
Condos are super popular in the busy hubs like Patong, Kata, Karan. These are more of a volume game. And the source gives us some really interesting price tiers here.
Yeah, let's look at the data. A studio is around 2 to 3.5 million baht. A one-bed goes up to 6 million, and a two-bed can be up to 9 million.
And the key data point is that buying these off-peak February to April or September to November can get you a 5 to 10% discount.
10% on a 9 million baht property. That's almost a million baht. That's what, roughly 30,000 US dollars?
It is serious money. That covers all your furnishing costs right there. Or your legal fees, easily.
And then there's commercial property.
Right. This is less about seasons and more about infrastructure. You have to play the long game here. The trigger isn't the rain, it's the road.
You're watching for the bulldozers.
Literally. Watch for new malls, road openings, airport links. The key, as Ocean Worldwide points out, is buying before the infrastructure is finished. It's like buying land near a planned train station. Once the station is open, the price has already jumped. You have to buy the rumor.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty numbers. We can talk about deals all day, but what does a good investment actually look like in Phuket? The guide breaks down some yield targets.
Right. And just so we're clear, yield is basically your annual return on investment from rent. For a beachfront villa, the guide says you should be targeting a yield of about 4%.
That seems kind of modest.
It's steady.
Mm-hmm.
But look at the occupancy, 60 to 75%. You have to remember, these are high-ticket nightly rates. You don't need it to be full every single night to make good money. It's a quality over quantity play.
Okay, contrast that with a city condo.
A condo has to work harder for you. You're looking for a 5 to 7% yield and higher occupancy, 70 to 85%. They're cheaper to rent, so they stay fuller.
And the highest yield is the holiday apartment.
Yes, targeting a 6 to 8% yield with a whopping 75 to 90% occupancy. These are the real workhorses of the rental market. If you're seeing numbers below these benchmarks, the property might be overpriced or just managed poorly.
So what this means for you, the
Wow.
listener, is don't just ask how much is the house. Ask how much does the house make.
Exactly. And watch the government spending. The source is very clear on this. Look for government money going into utilities or airport links. That's the signal for future capital appreciation. You want to ride the wave of the government's investment.
Let's talk about the boring stuff that actually saves you a ton of money. Logistics.
Financial logistics, the silent killer of otherwise great deals.
First up, currency exchange.
This is massive for international buyers. Most properties are priced in Thai baht, the THB. If you're coming with pounds, dollars, or euros, the exchange rate can fluctuate wildly.
They were talking about moving huge sums of money.
A tiny shift in the rate can save or cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. The advice here is to use forward contracts. You lock in a rate when it's good, rather than just crossing your fingers on the day of the transfer.
Okay, what about getting a mortgage? Can I just walk into a Thai bank and get a loan?
You can. But the word they use is tricky. As a foreigner, you're looking at higher interest rates, and you'll need a very large down payment. It's not as simple as financing a home in your own country.
So cash is king.
Cash is king, or financing from your home country is the way to go.
Here is a weird little detail I found in the source. VAT refunds.
Oh, this is a fun one.
So you can't claim VAT back on the house itself,
Nope.
but you can claim it back on the furnishings.
If you buy them as a tourist. So if you go to a furniture store and spend at least 2,000 baits, you can claim the VAT refund at the airport when you leave, just like you would for clothes or electronics.
That's amazing.
It's a small win, but if you're furnishing an entire villa, that adds up very quickly.
Every little bit helps. Now, let's talk traps. The overpriced trap.
This is the most common pitfall. You see a villa, it's stunning, the price seems high, but hey, it's paradise, right?
And the agent is telling you it's a rare opportunity.
The advice from Ocean Worldwide is really blunt here. Do not rely on the asking price. Asking prices in Phuket can be, let's say, optimistic. You have to compare recent sales of similar properties.
And this is where having a good local agent comes in, right? Because that data isn't always public.
Exactly. This brings us right to the human element. You need a local guide. And this is why we keep mentioning Sandra O'Neill and her team. They've been there since 2004. They know the history of the buildings.
The source mentions something called quiet listings. What are those?
These are properties that are for sale but aren't advertised online yet. Maybe the owner wants a private sale, or they just told their trusted agent, hey, if you find the right person, let me know.
So they're off-market deals.
And offer the best deals. The only way to access them is to have a relationship with a local agent who knows the market inside and out.
And legal counsel.
Oh, absolutely non-negotiable. Buying property in Thailand has really complex land ownership laws for foreigners. You cannot DIY this. You need a good lawyer to check for hidden clauses, handle transfer taxes, and make sure you actually own what I think you're buying.
And the source also mentions developer relationships. Sometimes going direct can help.
Sometimes. If you go directly to a developer, you might be able to negotiate better payment terms, like spreading the payments out over a longer period. But an agent is still better for giving you that big picture overview of the whole market.
So you're not just sold on one specific project.
Right.
Okay, let's recap the ideal buyer's calendar. If I want to be the smartest person in the room.
You start looking in the shoulder season, maybe September. You get your financing sorted, get your lawyer ready, you start watching the currency rates. And then when the holidays are over, or when the rain starts to fall and all the other buyers have gone home, That's when you strike.
You move when everyone else is distracted.
Precisely.
There's this really provocative thought at the end of the material. It says that low season doesn't mean the island just shuts down, but it asks us to consider, is the best time to buy a luxury property actually when the luxury lifestyle is least visible?
That is the key mindset shift.
Yeah.
It's asking you to stop thinking like a holidaymaker and start thinking like an investor.
Mm.
Can you look at a rainy beach and see the potential profit? Can you look at an empty street and see a negotiation opportunity? If you need the sunshine to sell you on the property, you're probably going to pay a premium for it.
That is such a good takeaway. You have to fall in love with the numbers, not just the sunset.
The sunset is free. The villa costs money.
So true. Well, if you're ready to stop dreaming and start strategizing, remember the source of all this wisdom we've been talking about. Sandra O'Neill and the team at Ocean Worldwide.
They're the ones with that 20-year track record to help you navigate this stuff safely.
And if you want to check them out, where should you go?
The website is oceanwwp.com. That's ocean-w-p.com.
Definitely worth a look if Phuket is on your radar. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the seasons of Phuket real estate. Remember, buy when it's raining and you'll get the deal.
I like that. Happy hunting.
Happy bargain hunting, everyone.